What is up, guys? It's Andy here. Welcome back to Painfully Honest Advice. Now, before you think this is clickbait, I'm going to show you guys how this sandwich right here is worth over $1 million. Now, just to get it out of the way, this is actually a sandwich from Panera's, and it's a $10 sandwich. But in this video, I want to go ahead and share with you guys how this $10 sandwich can be worth over $1 million. Now, this is basically with the power of what Warren Buffett calls the eighth wonder of the world, which is going to be compound interest. Basically, in this video, I'm going to go ahead and keep it very practical and share with you guys a real practical way of just investing $10. That's all you got to invest and make that over $1 million. Yes, this $10 sandwich from Panera's can be worth over $1 million if you go ahead and just invest it properly. Now, in this video, I'm going to go ahead and share with you guys 3 practical ways and basically 3 ways of investing $10, and I'll share with you guys which one out of those is going to be the best way to go ahead and invest this money to make it worth over $1 million. Now, I was shocked while doing this research because with the 3 different examples I'm going to go ahead and share with you guys, one is going to be focused on investing in a growth stock. So stock that's just growing over time. The second is going to be by investing in a purely high dividend stock. And then the third is going to be by investing in a high dividend growth stock. And we'll go ahead and break it down. I'll go ahead and share with you guys a calculator that I go ahead and use, and I'll go ahead and link that down in the description as well. But guys, I was amazed by these results. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Now, just a quick plug from my sponsor here, guys. This video is being sponsored by Webull. Webull is basically a trading platform where you can go ahead and get 2 free stocks when you go ahead and set up an account with them. The first free stock is when you actually set up the account, and the second free stock that can be worth up to $1,400 is when you go ahead and deposit at least $100 in your account. It's basically one of the only platforms out there that actually offers you 2 free stocks. Now, just jumping right into it, the first way we're going to go ahead and look at investing this $10 is going to be in a high dividend stock, and that stock is going to be at&t. Now, I want to go ahead and share with you guys, if we invest $10 today in at&t, how much this money would be worth with compound interest. So let me go ahead and jump on the computer here, and if we go ahead and just pull up at&t on Seeking Alpha, at&t is currently trading at right around $30 per share. Now, here's some of the information that we're going to go ahead and collect from this, and then I'm going to go ahead and add this into a dividends-based calculator to see how much this money will be worth once we go ahead and invest $10. Now, in regards to at&t, they are down year to date about 11.86%, but the nice thing with this stock is that they do pay a pretty high dividend. Now, with at&t, the dividend that they currently pay is right around 6.93%. So that's an extremely good dividend. And additionally, the stock has been growing their dividends by 2% on an average rate for the last 5 years. But additionally, the stock does have a 36 years dividend growth rate, meaning that they've consistently been paying out dividends for the last 36 years. Now, we're going to go ahead and take this information and add it into the dividends calculator here. And this is basically where the magic happens. Now, in regards to this dividend calculator, guys, I will go ahead and add this dividend calculator in the link down in the description below so you guys can go ahead and check it out yourself, because I'm telling you, this is gonna shock you guys. But let's go ahead and plug the numbers in. Now, in regards to this, I'm gonna go ahead and just choose that we're gonna invest in an individual stock. And as far as how much we're gonna go ahead and invest in the individual stock, we're gonna go ahead and say that we're gonna invest in 1 share, and that's gonna be at an annual dividend yield of 6.93%. Now, because the current stock is paying out a dividend yield of 6.93, we're just going to go ahead and say that's the annual dividend yield with the stock. Now, additionally, because we're going to be holding this for a longer term, this is going to be in a traditional Roth IRA, so it's going to be in a non-taxable account. Now, if you're not familiar with a Roth IRA, I will go ahead and add a link right here so you guys can go ahead and check that out. But basically, by investing in a Roth IRA, as long as you hold your money until retirement, you actually do not pay any taxes on your money as well as on your earnings. So it's one of the best ways to actually go ahead and invest in the stock market. Now, let's go ahead and jump into the next thing here. As far as the share price goes, we're going to go ahead and say that we're going to be investing $10 at this point. And how do you invest $10 in at&t when the stock price is actually $30? That's going to be with fractional shares. Now, a lot of the trading platforms out there these days do offer fractional shares. Some of the ones that I know of that I invest in myself is going to be Robinhood, or M1 Finance. Now, there's many different platforms out there, and a majority of them do actually offer fractional shares. So you can actually invest as little as $10 and go ahead and invest in the stock market with this. Even if the stock is worth $30, $100, $3,000, it really doesn't matter with fractional shares. So we're going to go ahead and say that we're going to go ahead and invest $10 in this particular stock, which is going to go ahead and take us to the next point here, which is going to be how much are we expecting the annual dividends to go ahead and increase by. And based on what we've seen, we're looking at the annual dividends increasing by average of 2%. And just to show you guys that again right here, we're looking at an average return of over 2%. So we're going to go ahead and say 2.09% just to be exact there. As far as the distribution goes, the dividends are distributed on a quarterly basis. So we'll go ahead and choose quarterly. And the nice thing here is we're going to say this is all we're investing, just $10. So the annual contribution is going to be $0. And if we just look at the annual share price appreciation here, the annual share price appreciation for AT&T is actually down over 11% year to date here. But we're going to go ahead and say that we're expecting AT&T's share price on average to grow by 5% per year. So I'm going to go ahead and choose 5% here. Now, additionally, DRIP basically means that we're going to go ahead and reinvest and keep everything within the stock. So we're going to go ahead and say yes, we're going to go ahead and DRIP and basically go ahead and reinvest all our dividends. Because we're investing this in a Roth IRA, the dividend tax rate is going to be $0 because all our earnings are going to be growing and any of our earnings are not going to be taxed because it's in a Roth IRA. Now, as far as the years invested, guys, this is where it really makes a difference. So we're going to go ahead and say that we're investing in this particular stock for 40 years. Now, obviously, I wish I started doing this earlier, and that's why I'm making videos like this. I hope this is very informative because the earlier you start, the better it actually is. So let's go ahead and see what we get here. Now, if we just go ahead and look at how much this is going to compound over time, after 40 years, if we just invested $10 in AT&T, we would have $3,918. Now, that's an average return, or total return, I should say, of 39,000%. That's just by investing $10 in AT&T today. So guys, this is just looking at AT&T basically by investing $10 in a high dividend stock. But next, I want to go ahead and look at a growth stock here. Now, by investing in a growth stock, there's many different growth stocks out there like Google, like a Facebook, like a Tesla. I mean, there's a lot of growth stocks. Basically, a growth stock would be any stock that we see a potential to go ahead and grow over the next 20, 30, 40 years. At the same time, that stock does not pay out a dividend. So for this example, I'm going to go ahead and choose Facebook. Now let's go ahead and jump right back onto the computer here. Now in regards to Facebook, Facebook just actually released a new platform as well. I believe it's called Reels. It's basically taking on its competitor TikTok. And because of that, the stock price has been climbing pretty aggressively as well. But Facebook is currently trading at $268 per share. The 1 year growth rate is about 45%. The 5 year is about 184%. And then additionally, if we look here, the dividend rate is 0 because Facebook does not have a dividend yield. So they do not pay out a dividend. So that's going to be at 0%. And just for this example, I'm going to go ahead and say that we are expecting Facebook to go ahead and grow by an average of 20% per year. So now just jumping back into the calculator here, if we go ahead and just change some of this information, I want to share with you guys how much we would have if we invested this $10 in Facebook today. Now we're going to go ahead and keep it as an individual stock. We're going to go ahead and say that we're investing in 1 share of stock. As far as the dividends goes, that's going to be 0 because Facebook does not pay out dividends. We are going to say it's going to be in a retirement account like a Roth IRA, as well as we're going to go ahead and just invest $10 in Facebook with fractional shares. So we're going to leave that the same as well. As far as the dividend growth rate, it's still going to be 0 because Facebook does not pay out a dividend. And the frequency we basically don't have to touch. Now we're not going to contribute anything else. We're just going to leave that $10. So that's going to be 0. And as far as the expected annual share price appreciation, we're going to go ahead and say that we're expecting Facebook to go ahead and increase their share price by an average of 20% per year over the next 40 years. Now we're going to go ahead and keep DRIP on because we're going to go ahead and leave the money in there just to grow and compound over time. And the dividend tax rate is going to be 0, and we are investing in this for 40 years. So let's go ahead and see what this gets us at this point. Now, if we just look here, with investing $10 in Facebook, we would actually have $14,697. That's extremely good. $14,697 just by investing this $10 bill today in Facebook. We would have this much of a return. And that's a total return of 146,000%. So guys, that's really crazy because that's an average yearly return of over 3,000%. So now that is the power of compound interest. But next, here is gonna be the example that is literally gonna amaze you. I mean, it totally amazed me. And that's why I'm basically making this video, is because if somebody shared the potential of investing in a high growth stock that also pays out a dividend, I would have changed my strategy around a long time ago. So now next, I want to go ahead and share with you guys a stock that also is a growth stock, but it pays out a dividend. Now there's many different stocks out there like this. And guys, sorry about the background noise. It seems like all my neighbors want to go ahead and cut their lawn at the same time. So I do apologize if you do hear any type of background noise in this video, because I am in my garage right now and it's way too nice out not to record outside. But now just jumping into this stock, okay? This stock is gonna be Apple. Now I'm gonna go ahead and use this example for a high growth dividend stock and use Apple for this example, but there's many other stocks out there as well. Within my portfolio, some of the high dividend growth stocks that I invest in is Apple. Nvidia is another one. An additional one is going to be Visa. Another one is going to be ACN or Accenture. These are just some of the stocks that I go ahead and invest in. And maybe I should mention another one here, which is Microsoft, because Microsoft and Apple basically go hand in hand as far as the growth rate. And all these stocks that I did mention, I do invest in myself, but they all pay out a dividend and they have a high growth rate. So for this example, let's go ahead and pull up Apple. Now in regards to Apple, Apple's currently trading at $444 per share, but just some of the information that we're gonna go ahead and need to go ahead and put it into our example here is on average, Apple's returned 123% in just the last 1 year. And if we go ahead and look at the overall 5 years, a 5-year return for Apple is 284%. And now just jumping into a 10-year, that's over 1,000% return. Now I'm gonna be extremely conservative here, and we're gonna go ahead and say that Apple's gonna grow by an average of 25% per year. So even if it's not growing at 100% per year, that's okay, because we're gonna go ahead and use 25% for our example. Now additionally, if we look at Apple, Apple does pay out a dividend as well. Now with Apple's dividend, it is a bit lower dividend because a lot of times growth stocks don't pay out that high of a dividend. So the dividend yield is 0.74%. Now Apple's growth rate is 10.49% if we go ahead and average the growth rate for the last 5 years. So for that, we're just gonna go ahead and say that we're gonna use a 10% growth rate as far as the dividend growth goes. And oh man, that noise is kind of getting to me, guys, but I'm sorry. Hey. People are cutting their lawns today because it's an extremely nice day out. But now let's go ahead and take this right into our calculator. Now, if we jump into a calculator, we're gonna go ahead and say that we are investing in just one particular stock, and we're gonna go ahead and leave this information here as far as the number of shares go. Now, as far as the annual dividend yield, that is going to be 0.74%. So we're going to go ahead and stick with that because that's how much Apple's paying as far as the annual dividend yield currently. Now, as far as the taxable account goes, this is going to be invested in a Roth IRA. So we're going to go ahead and say it's in a non-taxable account, so all the earnings are not going to be taxed. Now, because we're using fractional shares, we can go ahead and invest just $10 in Apple today. So by investing $10, we're going to keep that number the same. As far as the expected annual dividend increase, now this is the number that we're gonna go ahead and choose 10% because Apple's been growing by over 10% if we look at their overall last 5 years. So now, additionally, as far as the dividend frequency goes, they do pay out their dividends on a quarterly basis. So we'll go ahead and keep it at quarterly. As far as the annual contribution, because we're only investing this guy right here, $10, we're not going to be contributing anything more to that. Now, as far as the expected annual share price goes, we're going to go ahead and say that Apple's expected share price is going to go ahead and increase by an average of 25%. Now, we're going to go ahead and leave all the money in here. So as far as drip goes, we're just going to let it go ahead and compound over time. And we're just going to leave it all in there. And the tax rate is going to be 0. And as far as the years invested, we're going to go ahead and stick with 40 years invested here. Now, let's go ahead and see what this gets us. Now, here we go, guys. This is exactly what I am talking about. We would have over $1 million. And to be exact, we would have, if we invested just $10 in Apple, after 40 years, with the power of compound interest, we would have over $1,020,498 just by investing this. Like, That is freaking nuts. That's the power of compound interest. By investing $10 today, when you just go ahead and let it compound with the given results, with a stock like an Apple that's paying out a dividend and that's also a growth stock, you're going ahead and making this type of return. This is a 10 million% return. I mean, that is nuts here. Now, as far as the annual dividends go, we would be getting $387,000 in annual dividends. Now, guys, this is no joke here. This is really how compound interest works. And that's why I said that this is going to be very practical. Basically, anybody can go ahead and invest in the stock market right now. And just by investing $10 today and not getting a Panera sandwich and just putting that into the stock market, this is how this one sandwich right here can be worth over $1 million. But guys, that's going to be a wrap for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and you like this type of content. If you do, don't forget to subscribe to the channel down below, as I make videos all around the stock market, real estate, and business, and sometimes in regards to this car, which is the Tesla behind me. But also go ahead and take advantage of 2 free stocks with Weibo. I will have the link down in the description. And then you can also take advantage of a 3rd free stock with Robinhood if you're interested in fractional shares. But thank you guys again. I will see you guys at the next one.